Hello everyone, today's guest is Oliver Binks. He's a professional South African field guide and wildlife photographer. He is recognized for his expert tracking and immersive guest experiences in Africa's premier big game ecosystems. Ollie, thank you for coming out today, dude.
Thank you.
Glad you made it here live, dude. When we were chatting before, you nearly didn't make it.
Yeah, it was. There was a time where that could have been a possibility. Yeah.
Dude, that was a crazy story, bro.
It was.
So remind me again what happened there.
It was a bushwalk, part of our kind of qualification training in order to become a lead trails guide. So you have to accumulate a certain amount of hours walked in the bush, certain amount of encounters with dangerous game, different game categories, etc., etc.
Like a pilot getting his hours.
Yeah, essentially. And yeah, so we'd been walking for a while. I had 4 hours left, so you have to accumulate like a total of 150 hours once you've become a backup rifle. So once you qualified to walk as a second rifle, that takes sort of 50 hours, 10 encounters, a couple of mentored hours, and then to become a lead trails guide, where you can then, you can lead the walk. If you're in certain areas, you don't have to walk with 2 rifles. Where I work, you do. So it was the last 4 hours that I needed of that 150. 50 mentored hours as a second rifle, 50 mentored hours as a first rifle, and then 50 hours in the workplace with guests. And it was the last 4 of those. So I had the day off. It was kind of end of my work cycle pretty much. I think I had 2-3 days left before I went on leave. So my head guide offered to help me with a walk. We had a guest that was keen to walk a long time. So we set out, and what's really cool about our property is it's quite long east-west. It's not very big north-south, but it gives us a lot of river. So in the eastern parts of the property, we've got the Sand River and the Sabi River, which obviously gives you loads of wildlife between the 2 river systems, and it's just stunning. So we decided to walk in the east, walk down to the Sand River, spent a bit of time at the river itself, walking along the river, did our sort of major break down on the boulders of the river, and then I had game drive in the afternoon. So couldn't stay out all day, which would have been really cool, but kind of had to book it back to the car. And we just started walking after our break, coming up through a bit of a thicket. Obviously everybody's walking in silence. We kind of had maybe an hour and a half to the car, and I'd passed an area, my second rifle had passed an area, and then kind of in line with our guest, heard rustling, immediately knew in a thicket like that it's not exactly.
So it was the guest that was kind of aware of
that
disturbance.
No, so we'd heard it, but it was only once I had passed and he had passed, because normally when you're walking you've got first and second rifle both in front, and then your guests fall in behind you. The idea is if anything were to happen, and you're very aware of your surroundings. You're listening out for things like oxpeckers, which are birds that land on big mammals. They feed on the ticks. So it could be buffalo, it could be rhino, things like that. Or you're listening out for branches breaking, could be elephants feeding, listening out for.
And the birds are giving that away.
Yeah, the birds can.
Cool.
If you it's so important to know their calls, because often that's also what alarms the animal first. If you're walking through an area and you see those oxpeckers coming up and you hear them chirping, they've heard you, or whatever the case is, they've been disturbed, they've taken off. The animal, if it hasn't heard you, because of the disturbance from the birds that were feeding on it, know that something's up. So you've got to be very careful about stuff like that. Wind direction, sun, it's all things that are in the back of your mind while you're walking through the bush.
Yeah.
Things that you've got to make sure are on your side. There was no wind. Sun, it was kind of like midday. Actually, I know exactly what time it was. It was 10 past 12.
Yeah.
So sun's right above you, so you don't really have you want to keep the sun generally behind you.
Yeah.
Because then you aren't you're not lit up. You got a bit of backlighting.
Oh, you like
some animals
dull
don't really, exactly, they don't have the same eyesight as us. Nowhere near the kind of eyesight that we've got. So that's the idea behind it. And so it's midday, sun's right above you. There's no angle you can walk really that's going to give you that kind of backlight. So we'd both walked past this area. There was there was nothing that could have alerted us to it before it had happened.
Okay.
Which was crazy. I've never been in a situation like that. Every time there's been...
Well, explain the situation.
Yeah, so the situation is we walking. I pass the point, second rifle passes the point, then it's pretty much our guest perpendicular to where we'd heard the rustling. And both of us immediately turn, and generally you'd want your kind of first rifle in front, second rifle steps to the side. There's a whole procedure behind it, and
no, we'll I'm interested in that actually.
Within 3 seconds of the rustling, then it just turned to these, footsteps rushing up towards us.
Yeah.
And next thing, big bull black rhino just emerges out of this thicket.
And are you kind of feeling those footsteps? Because I'm sure it's
vibrating,
yeah. Everything's shaking.
Yeah, that was we before we could see it, because it was quite dense, didn't know if it was a buffalo or rhino, but both of us were kind of suspecting either buffalo or rhino. And in a thicket like that, it's going to be black rhino, which are just notoriously aggressive, and it's not the easiest thing to encounter on foot. And came out pretty much perpendicular to us, and where I was and the way we had turned to kind of just listen to where it was coming from, it placed my second rifle in front of me, and the guest, we immediately pulled her behind us. And you can just imagine, in that situation, you have to stand your ground. You have to stand still.
Dude, I don't know
you've got to hold it down.
You can. It's one thing to train for this, but it's another thing to actually have that situation play itself out in real life.
Yeah,
dude, you've got a rhino that's just beginning a charge towards you. You don't have time to You've got to react. You've got to react.
Exactly, and I think that's why the training is so important. It becomes almost like muscle memory.
Yeah.
Because we were both chatting afterwards. Look, let me. So this thing's coming at us, and it's now placed me behind my second rifle, pulled our guest behind us, told her just get behind us, and you kind of have to go against every human instinct to just stand still. Fight, flight, freeze.
Yeah.
You've got to hold it down, because if you run, there's so much more that can go wrong. You don't know where you're running to. You trip, you fall, something happens. So we're in this situation now. Both of us have our rifles up, and pretty much my second rifle fires a warning shot. It slightly diverts. It was pretty much dead onto us, and then it slightly diverts, passes him.
Was it at full speed at that point?
Yeah, that thing was coming.
Full speed.
It was so fast.
How does that look,
That
dude?
whole interaction was about 5 seconds. From hearing the rustling, to it running past us, to it being out of our line of sight, was honestly about 5-6 seconds. And it...
Bro, I would have literally jumped behind the guest. I would have first jumped behind the guest and I would be like, oh wait, this is actually my, like, this is my job.
Yeah, this is what you gotta do. No, it's nuts. And I mean...
That's crazy.
It was insane.
So the first shot kind of diverted, but not convincingly.
Yeah, it was still very much like on our path, and because it just came out of nowhere. We think us walking through and possibly moving branches out the way and may have woken it up. It could have just been sleeping. It couldn't have been more than 10, 15 meters away from us. Yeah, which was pretty gnarly. And so it slightly diverts, goes past him, then it's coming towards me because we were kind of standing at an angle. We weren't really, head on.
Okay.
Because I had walked past already and he'd walked past, and then we hear the rustling. By the time you turn and face, you're not dead on with what you hear or what you see or what you're expecting.
Yeah.
And there wasn't really time to kind of move and shift into position. It was just so fast. Literally enough time to tell the guest, move, get out the way, behind us, whatever, and then it was there. So yeah, it was insane.
That is, wow.
Yeah, so it comes past me. I kind of had to move because it was already here. It wasn't coming head on to me, but it was kind of like almost on my path. So I kind of just moved back, and it runs whoop, just past me, and then diverts 90 degrees, and we never saw it again.
And you say it's quite rare to come across a black rhino specifically, because I know you get different types of rhinos, but
Yeah.
I mean, what I also wanted to kind of know was, what is the situation looking like for rhinos at the moment in the wild itself? Is it kind of improved? The poaching and all of that?
Somewhat so. You can kind of argue both ways. Black rhino is, from what I've read, black rhino is the only population of rhino across the 5 species of rhino that are left in the world. So there's two African, 3 Asian. Black rhino are the only population to have increased in the last 10 years. And it's also one of the smaller, there are a lot less black rhino than white rhino. And they're the only ones to have increased because I think because of their, just general behavior of being quite skittish, aggressive, excitable. Even in a vehicle, if we are out on just a normal game drive, a black rhino sighting normally is like a couple of seconds, because it's either, even in a vehicle, it's either running towards you or away from you. They've got their eyesight isn't great.
I'm just going to put on the lights quickly.
Cool.
Sorry. We'll edit to fix it or not. Doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah, so you're saying?
Their eyesight's not great. They rely on hearing and smell, and their ears move independently of one another. So even when they're sleeping and you're watching them sleep, the ears are still constantly twitching side to side, moving. One's this way, one's that way. If you start talking at a sighting, you can see one ear point towards you, the other one's pointing behind it.
When you say sleep, are they actually still, while they're in like a REM sleep state, are they still able to hear?
Yeah, the ears are always moving. So, onto rhinos and their populations, and there's so many things that have come up in terms of how to keep them safe. A lot of which have been reactive and not proactive, which is not great. Things like
On-site poaching prevention.
yeah,
Right.
well, there's on-site poaching prevention, but then there's also things like what was it? It was something like a radioactive tab or something, or some coat on the horn that you can track with like a very unique chemical identification. So like if it goes from here into China or Vietnam, you can pick it up quite easily. But that would still mean that the rhino would have to be poached before you can pick that up, because the horn will have had to have got there.
Yeah.
So that's why they do things like.
And surely the final user isn't concerned whether or not.
No, not particularly.
Yeah.
But that's why there's other things like dehorning the rhinos. There were talks of legalizing the trade at a point. I know there was a couple months ago, I think it was Northern Cape, that was going to, I don't know if they did it. It was I just saw a paper on a WhatsApp group that I'm a part of them legalizing the trade, monitoring it. You can really decrease black market value by doing that.
You can set certain boundaries within the trade and limits.
Exactly.
And I'm sure if you start to now farm rhinos for their horns, they'd probably install like a safe practice as to removing it, and then.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is already a safe practice removing, because most reserves, whether it's a national park or private reserve, a lot of areas have had to dehorn their rhinos already for a long time now. There's very few places in South Africa, in comparison to 10, 15 years ago, where you can go, 20 years ago, where you can go to see a rhino with a horn. Like certain reserves that are super tucked away or really small or, really easy to manage, that you can afford to do something like that. But if you're looking at something like the Kruger National Park, the greater Kruger area, 2.5 million hectares, it's ridiculous, where it's the size of Israel that you're having to monitor, and you've got, they're moving around freely, they're doing what they like, so you can only control so much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's tough on like the anti-poaching guys as well. They're on foot and they're out and combating this and checking borders and boundaries, because then you need
to have such a strong financial backing to incentivize going to such a remote location and being out there for so long with no guarantee of coming back with anything.
And that's
crazy.
That's one of the biggest issues, is something like a place like the Kruger, right, where 15, 20 years ago, I've heard had 80% of the world's rhino population.
80?
Somewhere around there, like ballpark.
World though is.
Yeah, well, I mean, most of them
unbelievable
occurred in South Africa. In any case, the Asian rhino populations have been small or dwindling for a very long time.
Where in Asia do you find rhinos most commonly?
India. Greater one-horned rhino. So if you do like an Indian safari, you can see greater one-horned rhino, which look like dinosaurs. It's so weird.
It's awesome.
They look so sick though. Like I one day would love to do that.
I can't imagine a safari where you could possibly see a rhino and a tiger.
But that's the thing. That's why it's so cool. Like if you're coming from somewhere like South Africa, where you've got, the most well-known big five, but Asia's also got a big five. There's this, I don't know, having done it here, I'd really like to go and do it there.
Of course.
And see like a wild tiger, because they're just massive, and like a greater one-horned rhino, and they've got water buffalo, Asiatic lion, Asian elephants. So they've got the whole.
They do.
They've got leopards.
They really do,
They've got the whole spiel there as well.
It's true. When we think of like Big Five game, we always think of Africa or Southern Africa.
Yeah.
We never really consider the wildlife you'd find, like in India, for example.
Yeah.
Because I would never book myself on a holiday to India
Yeah.
for a safari, dog.
It's not something you think about.
No, but that is awesome.
Yeah, but from what I've seen, researched, and I've had loads of guests that have done India as well, or were going to. It's very different. It's nothing like here, where you've got these like super luxury, premium lodges, private reserve,
really?
where, like where I am, we've got just over 5,500 hectares to ourselves. We don't have any bordering properties, so we don't cross traverse with anybody else. We don't have anybody else coming onto our property, and at most we are nine game viewers out, so 9 cars out, where and generally it's probably close to like 6 if the lodge isn't full with, you know, a villa. You get a private vehicle, you
That's
can book
nothing.
a private vehicle. If it's a family of 5, you're not going to be able to put like one other person on that car, because we only do 6 on a game viewer, because in the middle's center consoles and it's 3 rows. So yeah, I can go game drives without seeing anybody, you know, and because we got such a large eastern and western section and a lodge on either side, so 2 lodges within the reserve, within the property, you know, the one lodge could have 4 or 5 vehicles and the one could have 1. So then you've got the whole respective side of the property, if no one's crossing over, to yourself, which is insane, whereas you'll never get that in India. It's kind of like also what I've seen recently and also heard from guys on this, again referring to this WhatsApp group, where there's guides from all over the world pretty much, you know, some private guides, some that are still commercial guides, some that have branched out into other areas of expertise, or, you know, whatever the case is, but everybody's got something to bring to the party, which is really cool. Like, a lot of guys will use it if they're somewhere they've never been before and find an interesting plant or a track. You post it on there, promise you within minutes you've got somebody telling you what it is, scientific name,
So
where
the,
you'll find
the community is quite.
The community is
strong.
so cool. The guiding community is
interesting.
honestly, and it's so small as well. It's really, really, really small, which is something I didn't realize until becoming a guide myself.
What do you mean? It's small.
It's small, dude. Like,
Is there a lot of demand for guides?
yes,
Yeah.
there is. Especially recently, there have been a lot of like really top high-end lodges that are looking.
And I would imagine that the youth as well, they would require a lot of younger people, because people in that industry would obviously, this is just my thoughts, would be much older, and they now exiting that.
Yeah, so there are places like that, but it's also,
Because like for my line of work, I speak to
much
older people,
yeah.
and it's
No, me
less
too.
it's less so
Me too.
younger people that are coming
Yeah.
in. I don't see that, and I wonder if that's because people aren't interested. You know, everyone. There's we can go. That's a completely different topic we can go into, but like just the fallacy behind people and what they think they could be doing in life. You know, people. You know, the most popular job in America, I think there was a stat where everyone said they wanted to be streamers. Like, dude,
Yeah, I saw that.
let's
as
be
well,
serious. But I would imagine as well something for guiding, you know, getting out, going into nature. I feel like it's a lost art, you know, and I feel like a lot of people are interested in that. So that's why I bring it
Yeah.
up. So I'm just curious, you know.
So to come back to the beginning of your point, there's so many lodges, but you don't want to work for just anybody. You know, you want to be at a brand that's quite well known worldwide, for one, because they've got business. You want to be somewhere that's like, you know, quite it's like anything. It's like we were talking about with this apartment earlier. It's location. You know, if you're in the Sabi Sands, as opposed to somewhere like, you know, the Eastern Cape, for example, that's not as well known for safari, but has got some spots that are as luxurious, properties that are as beautiful. Game viewing is insane.
Yes.
But because you aren't in the mecca of safari, you're never going to have the same amount of guests. It could also come down to marketing, things like that. But
Yeah.
you know, it's tough. It's a very competitive industry. Everybody is super luxurious nowadays. Everybody
Yeah.
has got the best guides. Everybody's got the best game viewing. So what do you do that sets yourself apart?
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of it does. Again, from what I've seen, what I've heard, a lot of it does come down to guides, for one. It can make a huge impact. You know, you're spending 8 hours, at least 8 hours a day with the guests.
Yeah.
Just you, one-on-one with your guests. You know, there's actually very little time that you're not with them. Or, you know, even more than that, if you're doing breakfasts with them or dinners,
Oh, yeah, they're waiting for dinner,
you know,
or a
you've got
drink.
bushwalks and stuff afterwards, you actually end up spending very little time at the lodge.
It's a very intimate thing. Hey?
It is.
Yeah.
It's a very intimate thing. So yeah, a lot of lodges require stuff like experience, which, like you say, you get with age. So it's also not a thing that, you know, it's not normal, and it's not easy to be young and walk into like a 5-star lodge. A lot of guys are a lot older, probably been there for a lot longer, a lot of time to either build their qualifications, or if it's just experience alone. And then it comes back to how small the guiding world is. Like 10 years ago, you worked with someone at this lodge, and now they are head guide at this lodge. You go, boom, another 5 years, that person's a GM there. And you'll always bump into old colleagues and things like that, and everybody knows everybody.
Okay.
It's wild. Like, the longer you've been in the industry, you ask some of the older guys, or you're talking about this person, they're like, oh, we worked with them there.
So your reputation must be really important in that space.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is, because it's like, if you're then applying for a job here and you put somebody down as a reference, within 2 calls you can find somebody else,
And the truth
very
comes out.
easily. Truth comes out. So you've got to be very careful. But no, not even careful. Like, if you love what you do, you know, and it's a passion, and you devote time and energy into it, it'll show.
Of course.
You know, and if you're just a decent human being, there's no reason it shouldn't work out.
Yeah. And I mean, it's more than just knowing things. You have to create a personal relationship with your guests. It's about having the ability to connect with people. And to storytell, which is also a huge skill. That's very important. But when it comes to now, like, what you're learning as a field guide, what are some of the topics that you're covering? I mean, I'm sure you've learned some really interesting things, besides just what a zebra is, what a lion is, how does a rhino work? You know, like, you know, what are some of the, like, finer and more intricate things that you've learned that you kind of thought were really cool, you know?
There's honestly...
And how broad is it? I mean...
Massive.
I know you were just doing a marine safari, dude.
Yeah.
That is like...
Yeah, that was cool.
Do you learn about that while you...
Not
doing
so
it for
you
guys,
can. There's a marine guide qualification.
Okay.
So my qualification is a field guide.
Okay.
You can be a marine guide. You know, there's this same kind of qualification levels, but different topics and things that are covered. So I know there's one training institution thingy, whatever you want to call it, that covers both field and marine. Oh no, there's a couple that do field guide and marine guiding. So by the time you finish up there, you qualified in both. But it is a very, because it's a lot to cover. You know, if you're thinking about all things natural world, you can't even comprehend how much is going on. And that's why I love what I do so much. You can never plateau because you can never know everything.
Okay.
It's physically impossible. Like every time you talk to somebody or you go down these rabbit holes, like someone will ask you a question and it can either be just a completely new perspective, something you haven't thought of, whatever the case may be, and you start researching that thing, it leads you to something else, and you just then hit this deep dive of slime mold. You know, it's like it's just weird stuff. But initially it's geology, astronomy, taxonomy, ecology, animal behavior, then specifics like mammals, reptiles, fish, amphibians, segmented worms. You know, it's birds. It's massive.
Yeah.
It is insane. And your first, like, that's why it was quite a demanding thing to study, but I never felt like I was studying. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I love it.
You just want to know.
Yeah.
You
And
just
I
want to
do,
know what
exactly.
all this is.
I want to know as much as I possibly can for myself, but also, you know, people are paying a lot of money to come out here. A lot of money. For a lot of people, it's a one-time experience. It's, you know, bucket list, you know, a lot of older people as well. And you really want them to leave with like, with their heart full. You know, we were chatting about it the other night at your birthday, but I was watching a documentary, right? Ghost Elephants, Dr. Steve Boys, incredible, absolutely incredible. And then, very much paraphrasing here, but at the end he talks about how, you know, if you believe in evolution, the first people were sand bushmen. And because he takes a couple of them, like the last real sand bushman trackers from Namibia up into the Angolan highlands to find these elephants. That's what the whole documentary is about. And he talks about how, you know, from there, with all the supercontinents and, you know, like Pangaea, the Bushmen would have had to have walked to Australia because the next group of people are the Aboriginals.
Yeah.
And then from there, you know, just branches and branches and branches and branches. And then you have what we have today, you know, all the people all over the world. But
Isn't that crazy? Like those are some of like the wildest climates to like exist in the first place.
Yeah, for one.
Like Africa as well as Australia.
Yeah.
Everything there is just trying to kill you, bro. Like,
exactly, and these people didn't have...
Like, take a walk to Italy, fellas. Like,
yeah, go somewhere nice.
Yeah.
Look at the view, dude.
Yeah, where the grapes are good, bro.
Yeah,
like,
it is insane. And
they were there for so long, and they endured, and they clearly, you know, succeeded over it, because, I mean, you wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, but exactly. And if you believe in... If you believe in that, then somewhere down the line, there is something in your DNA that's so innate, that's calling you here. You know, otherwise, how do you explain the Americas and Europe, and, you know, it's just so popular around the globe to go on safari. It's like a must do holiday. A lot of people, you know, they save for years to come out here and stay for 3 nights.
Dude, it's one of the most fulfilling things you can do in life, I think, is to watch a sunset over the sub-Saharan bushveld. It is like...
It never gets old.
It never gets old. There's a feeling about it. It's just like... It's such a zen moment.
Yeah.
And everyone, no matter where you come from, as you say, experiences that. They have
Yeah,
that
or
exact
want to. It's
same
a desire
common
that's so
feeling.
deep within you, and it's almost like when they leave, you can almost see the relief in their face.
Yeah.
You know, something that they probably dreamt about for so long, or you know, were fortunate enough to do it earlier, or had the means to do it earlier. But you can see it immediately.
And I think it's also such a fantastic responsibility to showcase Africa,
Yeah,
right?
ecotourism, massive,
Bro, it is like,
huge part of the economy.
yeah, but I mean, just to like create awareness as to like how incredible Africa. I love Africa, and it's like it's so important to like put the message out there as to what it really is and what it's really like, and to kind of beat the misconceptions that people have, and you get to do that, dude, and you get to bring people back to nature. I think where we all originate from. Yeah.
A guy that I work with now, Hayden, he's quite new on our team, but he said something really cool when we had a guy named John Roth come and do a geology course, guide, training with us, and I mean it was incredible. Like probably one of the coolest experience I've had whilst working as a guide, to see someone that's been doing it for so long with the amount of passion that he has. And there's nothing worse for a guide than guiding a guide. And my first ever guests at the lodge that I'm at now was a guide and a lodge manager.
Oi.
I was like fresh out of the college. I was still in my placement program, like internship, and there was just, which I mean I'm super grateful for that happened, because it kind of just kept me guiding straight through, and then like come the time of my internship I was pretty much already working.
Yeah.
So it was probably the best thing that's happened to me. But it was like 2 months into my 6-month internship, and there was nobody else. I had to go in. I was like, for the first couple months I was borrowing uniform, and because I didn't work there, I was a student, and for him to get a whole guiding team just absolutely entranced and so excited about rocks is insane. If you've got a guy that can do something like that, it's crazy. I mean, I've never given rocks a second thought. Geology is part of both your level 1, 2, and I believe level 3 qualifications as a guide. And I mean, in my level 2 qualification, the workbook part for geology was 263 marks on soil.
Dude,
Like, I was sitting there like, really? And it took forever. And this guy, in 3 days, I learned more about geology than through 2 levels of guiding.
Isn't it crazy?
And he was like so passionate and taught us stuff. Like he's just really passionate about geology, so he always brings that into his training. But he's also just training you, not really training, but helping you guide. How do you bring it across to guests in a way that they'll also be excited about it? Anyone can tell you in granite you've got quartz, feldspar, mica. Cool, carry on, let's go. But that's just to show off. That's just to tell somebody that what's that. But you aren't guiding it. You aren't creating an experience. You aren't letting you're not letting the bush.
You're not creating this kind of a picture.
Exactly.
You're not creating a story in someone's head. Yeah.
Exactly.
You're not letting the imagination work.
So he did a lot of work on that as well, like how to bring it into your game drives, and
that's really
he was
cool.
incredible. But the first thing he did before he started teaching us was asked all of us what guiding means to you, right?
That's a good question.
Which is fantastic.
I'd like to hear your answer as well.
Part of Hayden's answer was disconnecting to reconnect, which I was like,
Oh, dude.
nah, well done, dude.
Oh,
Very well done. And it just that's
what an answer.
I know it was fantastic, and it's exactly that.
You don't have
'cause
to
you've
say
got-
answer anymore.
But I mean, you've got people coming from around the world, and it's not a like I said, it's not a cheap thing. So a lot of them have got very hectic lives. They are working a lot, making a lot of money. It's just it can be a stressful thing. So you taking somebody out of their reality into a new reality. They're both reality, but this one is it's calm, it's tranquil. You creating this environment for them where they can disconnect to reconnect.
To reconnect,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Like just go and touch earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
That's
is
important.
what everybody has to do it. Everybody's got to do it, which is it's super important. But I thought that was class. Eh?
That is
I was
really cool. What does a typical day in a life look like as a guide? What is your typical routine?
So you've got 2 game drives a day, and there's lots of other stuff that happens in between. So let's take summer and winter also differs because you're going out on game drive different times, sunrise, sunset. It shifts and changes by about an hour. So like coming into summer now, we are normally up at around 4 o'clock, and then 4:30 head down to the lodge. I'll have a coffee, and then get the vehicles prepped, make sure you've got everything, water bottles, make sure everything in the car is there, hot box, cooler box, because we'll stop like halfway through, have a coffee out in the bush, and then carry on. So make sure that everything's prepped and ready to go for the morning. Then we'll wake up guests at 5 o'clock, physically call their room. This is your wake up call, let's go. And then 5:30 they come down, or anywhere between 5 and 5:30 they come down, and there's like coffee and tea, and you host the morning, like snacks and all sorts that are out, and then you're normally out on game drive by about 5:30 and back kind of 9 o'clock, 8:30,
It's quite long.
9. Yeah, it's like it's generally, so it's like what you see in your schedule or itinerary, whatever, is a 3-hour game drive, but it's generally longer. Depends on what you see, where you go, how far you are from the lodge by the time you stop, stuff like that. So normally a bit longer, then you come back, and then you've got every now and again a bit of admin to do. Every guide is in charge of their own portfolio.
Yeah.
So like the diesel, the vehicles, the rifles, qualifications and compliance, first aid, operating equipment, stuff like that. So everybody's got something to do generally. You have to log your sightings, off-roading, guest reports. Because we are, a private concession operating in the Kruger, a lot of our month end has to go to the South African national parks as well. And they come and they audit and they do stuff. So they also need to know what's going on. So that's quite important. Then you've either got like an airport pickup. If you've got guests checking out, it's an airport drop-off. We do all that ourselves. Bushwalks as well. Because we have to walk with 2 rifles, it's generally something that happens in between game drive.
Yeah.
Some other private reserves, you can hop off with just the trails guide and tracker and the guests, and that's fine. But in any national park, you got to walk with 2 rifles.
Do you think that's enough?
2 rifles? Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, definitely.
Is that because typically if you have an encounter, it'll be with like one animal, not like a...
It depends, because you also come across like buffalo breeding herds and elephant breeding herds, and there's sometimes a few, but the reason behind 2 rifles, and like under FGAZA, which is our governing body, that's also what they require. Like your logbook will say first rifle, second rifle, because both rifles have got two very different roles within a bushwalk.
Okay.
And then it's also like if you get knocked over or something goes wrong, there's somebody to then deal with the situation, handle the guests, radio the lodge, whatever needs to happen. Hopefully
you could never do this alone.
You can.
I mean, really?
Yeah. A
really?
lot of places do. It's very few, not very few, but a lot of places.
That's quite risky.
You can
though.
walk one rifle and a tracker.
Yeah, but that's so risky. Imagine you mean like a solo guard?
Yeah, just one guide,
Yeah.
your tracker, and then
well, there you go. You have to have a tracker.
you don't have to, but sometimes they'll, like if you go out on game drive and decide you want to do a quick walk or whatever the case is, then yeah, the guide and tracker will go with the guests, because the trackers also very much know how to handle themselves in the bush. And the rifle is literally a last resort. Once you've exercised every other option there is, then only do you even think about using the rifle. Or if it's like what happened to us, it was quick, it was boom, it was in your face, there was nothing else to do, and it was like you have to, you've got to. But it's very rare that you are ever in those cases. Okay. And the way that you train as well is also to be able to handle those situations without going directly for your rifle, chambering and shooting. And
what kind of etiquette do you expect from your guests to, provide the best possible safety solutions for themselves? Obviously, you don't make don't be all hysterical, but
yeah, well, you've got to do a safety briefing beforehand. You do one for the game drive, you do one for a bushwalk.
Okay.
A bushwalk's almost a little more intense though. You have to be a little bit firmer on it. Someone messes up in a vehicle, it's very easy to wangle your way out of there. But on a bushwalk, you are, it's a level playing field now. You don't have the safety of the vehicle. You are in their environment. The whole point, it's not bushwalks also not about the big game. When you're training, of course, you've got to get certain encounters with these animals and be able to handle yourself there. And the whole point is actually to be able to view them and pull out without them ever noticing you were there. That's
hard to do. Because you have some American that's never seen a lion before, and they just want to come see this. Flash, the flash is going off.
Exact, but I think
it must be very hard to manage.
People are a lot more aware on a bushwalk than they are a game drive, because they're also just they know.
I understand.
They're in a very different situation right now. It does happen though, so you've got to be quite firm with your briefing and things like that. But I've had it before where I've been walking along the river, and a buffalo bull coming up from the river kind of intersected us, like where we were walking, and it had just popped over the ridge and you couldn't see anything down, and it just head up. So I stop, and immediately you see them head up, nose up. And buffalo are also in the same, for me at least, same category as black rhino. You don't know which way it's going to go.
Oh, really?
They can be, they can be quite aggressive. You got to be very careful with buffalo. And I had guests, elderly, obviously didn't really engage the situation we were in. And so I'd told my second rifle to take them out, just move away. And then you've, as the first rifle, it's part of your duty, part of your role is to kind of deal with what's happening. Face it off, make sure everybody's safe.
So you're just standing there.
Yeah, you're kind of standing there just watching it.
With this.
Yeah, kind of just making sure it's not going to do anything, or you can't make sure it's not going to do anything, but just monitoring its behavior. and the wife hadn't seen, and the husband was like pulling his wife to the side, like, oh no, there it is, look. And like it was probably like 15 seconds ago, I'd asked them to go, and he's still standing there, like, and it's hard to imagine the kind of situation you're in when you've got no idea what's going on. You know, and the stuff that you see with AI now and on National Geographic, and
some of those videos are
some people are
crazy.
so desensitized to how dangerous these animals actually are.
Because the lion's like giving the cub to the...
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's happening. They're giving off the
It's
cub.
so stupid. Yeah.
Ah.
I've seen that exact video.
Yeah, that's wrong. That's wrong.
It is wrong, dude. It's wrong.
Because you're going to have someone that's going to now test that.
Yeah.
And you know, like, I feel like, I don't know why I believe this, even though I know it's wrong. I know it's not true. But I'm also like of the impression that I could outrun a hippo.
Ah, no way. Dude.
You see,
A hippo on land reaches a maximum speed of 36 kilometers an hour, which is 10 meters per second. So theoretically, the only people that could outrun a hippo over a short distance are Olympic 100-meter sprinters, guys that are running like 9, 5, 7, and even then it's like it's smidgens. For again, then you're also not on the track. You're in the bush.
Yeah,
it's very different.
It's not a clean.
So even
you're not wearing your spikes.
Yeah, exactly. Like you cannot, and that's of the dangerous game the slowest. They move, dude.
Oh really?
Yeah. Buffalo's faster. Buffalo was like 45 kilometers. White rhino 45. White rhino 40. Black rhino 45. For leopard and lion can hit like 80 k's an hour at maximum. It's again very short bursts, but you're not going to be able to.
They have the strength to the athleticism to
just not stamina.
Out the block, bang.
Exactly, and you're never going to create that distance for yourself.
And a cheetah's like what? 90?
It's like 120.
What?
Yeah, dude, at peak pace. But again, it's also short distance. Then you get things like hyenas and wild dogs that are maybe nowhere near as fast, but hey, endurance. They just go.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
But even things like that, you'd never ever be able to outrun
a hippo.
Any kind of dangerous game.
And lateral, do you think you could beat it laterally? If you yourself were quite no, you look at me like
well, like a sidestep.
Like a little goosey, dude.
You know, every guy has got their... I've had those thoughts, dude. I was like, you know, if it's just me and I'm not, you know, there's no one that I have to look out for and protect, and I were to just... Maybe not offend, yeah. But
not offend.
I don't know. Because have you seen those guys bullfighting?
Yeah.
Where it's like coming straight at them, and they also
matadors.
Yeah, and they do like a little sidestep or something. I don't know.
That is an art.
That
is an art.
Yeah.
When I watch those videos, but when it goes bad, it goes bad. And
those
some
guys
of those
are
guys,
crazy.
They ruin themselves for life, dude. Some guys get ruined for life.
Yeah, those guys are insane. I don't know. I don't even know what draws you to.
For me, I think one of the scariest animals is probably, and I had this conversation with a friend of mine who lives in Zambia. And in Zambia, the crocodile scene there is it's huge. And he showed me a video of these guys caught a crocodile and they had like cut its stomach open, and they open it up. And when you look inside the stomach, you see like 3 fully formed faces, just like bobbing in the stomach.
Insane.
And you see like the eyes, everything. And like this dude's looking at you, just like a head. And then there's like an arm over here. They are evil creatures, dude. They are so scary to me.
I don't think they're evil. Yes, they're scary. I've always said, and it's like a conversation I've had with loads of guests as well. For me, a crocodile,
if you don't chew your food, you evil.
Is the ultimate apex predator.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see a crocodile scared of coming into land because there's lions, but you see lions scared of going into water because there's crocodiles. Because they're ambush hunters. They don't have to eat as often, so they can They can really just park and wait. They're in no rush. Some of the crocodiles...
Yeah, because they store their kill underwater as well.
Sometimes. They'll do that because they don't chew. They have to let it decompose a little bit because it's easier to rip and swallow whole chunks then, rather than when it's fresh.
Yeah.
So yes, sometimes they do store for a while. But I mean, I've heard like the crocodiles, you know, the Great Migration, Serengeti, Masai Mara, like the wildebeest and the zebra.
Yes, yeah. I've heard crocodiles.
No. I've heard like migration. I'm just seeing migration.
Yeah, crocodiles, dude.
Oaks just crossing the street. No, that's wild. But I've heard that some of those crocodiles, the migration is the only time they'll eat that year. Which is and some of them are massive, dude. Like a Nile crocodile, the ones that we get in the Sabi River, at their biggest, get to about 6 meters long, and can weigh about a ton.
No, Binks.
Like that's a monstrous animal. Our game viewers, you know, it's a 79 series Land Cruiser, bumper to bumper with the extension at the back is about 6 meters. So I mean, it's a massive, and we've seen some gnarly crocs.
Really?
Yeah, like some beasts, some giants, and they're just so prehistoric. They look fake.
Yeah, what is the lifespan on these things?
It's like 80 years.
These things don't die.
Yeah. No, they don't.
Die.
And you mentioned that sea safari that we did now in Gansbaai. We went and we saw the southern right whales, and those things can live up to 115.
Yo, I think a tortoise must have the longest lifespan, eh?
One of, yeah, for sure.
Because they can get up to like 800 years. Or am I just...
Dude. 800 years.
I had a guide. I had a guide. Okay, no, I was obviously being bullshitted then. In Madagascar. Dude. Okay,
listen.
These guys.
Listen, I can't speak for...
I might be wrong though. Guys, I'm not trying to speak facts here.
Exactly.
I'm just having a conversation.
The most important thing as a guide, right, is to say, from what I've heard, from what I've read, from what I've researched, because honestly, you look at 3 different books.
This is definitely wrong.
Talking about, take something stupid like the lifespan of a tortoise. You look at 3 different books. Both can be very well-respected researchers and authors, and all 3 books will tell you something different. It's also really tough to gauge because a lot of the time you're asking about the lifespan in the wild, right? Which is almost impossible to know unless you're going to monitor something from the day it's born to the day it dies.
And if it outlives you.
Exactly. How are you going to know? So a lot of it is research done in captivity, and then you kind of got to guesstimate the wild, take off like 10, 15 years because now there's predators and no constant food and stuff like that. So it is really tough to say. I have never heard of a tortoise living for 800 years.
Yeah, no, that sounds
but it
super
could.
long.
I know. Actually, I can't say. I can't say.
800 years sounds stupid. It really does.
800 years is a long time.
I think like at least 100 to 200 years.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
100.
Yeah. Not 800, sorry.
Yeah, definitely 100. Like there's those tortoises in, Thailand that are like 150, 200 years old. Which is also tough to gauge again because no one's lived that long, but it's a very like you got to be very careful about how you bring information across as a guide as well, because one, you never know who's on your car, so you can't lie. Next thing you've got you might think American on honeymoon, but he's a professor of ornithology at Harvard or
ornithology, dude.
Wherever.
What is that?
It's the study of birds. So you can't
and birds are popular.
Very, very amongst Gen Z as well.
I'm sure we could speak about birds forever, dude. It's amongst Gen Z as well, really.
It's becoming. I've seen it a lot. Yeah,
really?
It's almost like a trend
amongst
really Gen
cool?
Z now.
It would be really cool to have like a Pokemon Go kind of a bird game that you could play. And you collect different birds.
That's kind of what birding is. Like even now when we went away for the weekend.
But do you log it into an app and you get ranked? Is that a thing?
You don't really get
But I'm
don't
saying
really
it would
get
be
ranked.
cool. It would be cool if you developed an app where you
Yeah,
could rank
they are
yourself.
like, you can have. I know we had one within the company where it was an app, and you log what you see, and then you kind of see who can log the most birds in a month.
Dude,
something like that.
let's start a Strava for bird watching. And then you can get leaderboards. You can have, Binks saw like 5 different species this week. He's
There
currently.
is stuff like that out there, but it's a very niche.
it's niche.
Yeah,
but
but,
we
it's,
could-
it's so much fun. It like
But you could gamify it in a way.
you can make it cool.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's also, at the end of the day, it's birding. Like it's hard to make that cool. I dig it. I love it.
Okay.
It's so much fun. But I get ripped, bro. My brother, I get tuned all the
I
time.
know you do. And
Yeah.
I've been with you where you kind of just, you blurt it out.
Yeah, because sometimes you zone out, or something happens, or it's sick, and you're like,
Oh, that's a bluefin wing sparrow. Dude.
it becomes like such a part of your daily routine. And like we've had to at the lodge, we've had to, everybody is encouraged to get this. It's like a regional birding qualification, where so a lot of my last 18 months has been birding and preparing for these assessments and stuff like that. So it's kind of in my everyday life now.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah. No, I'm really fascinated by what it is you do, and I feel like there's so much to learn. It never ends. Like I remember you were telling me about snails. You were talking to me about snails not so long ago. It's awesome, and I think it's really good general knowledge, but like practical knowledge that you could take into life.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think you could survive in the wild now, based off what you know? If you had to be dropped into like,
It's something I'd like to do for sure. Like survive. Yeah, I think I could survive. But it also depends on where you are. Like, are you dropping me in like South Africa, dangerous game, or am I doing like a marooned thing where it's like some remote island or
I
Bali? Like, I think the two are very different. Very, very different. If you've got predators around, or
I guess having knowledge versus having no knowledge, you would probably outlast a little bit longer. Have you watched?
I'd like to think so.
Have you watched those TV shows Outlast?
Yeah. Is that where they go in the groups?
Yeah, you have to be in a team to
Yes,
win.
yes,
Dude,
yes.
have you seen the recent one they did on the island? Because they usually do it in Alaska.
That's the one I've watched.
Yeah. So there's like 3 or 2 seasons where they're in Alaska. Then they just did one now where they're on like a tropical island. I would argue that the tropical island is probably tougher than
Alaska. Why?
Because of the rate at which you probably dehydrate.
Oh yeah, fairs.
I think
very much so.
I think that's, and you're surrounded by salt water, and I feel like when you're in a tropical biome, is that the right word? Tropical biome, you are like, you're susceptible to a lot more, like in terms of insects, plants.
Yeah.
Like-
No, fair, absolutely.
Like you're not getting a
For
red,
sure.
like a red ant in Alaska,
Yeah.
unless you are. I don't know. That could like poison you if it bites you,
Yeah.
or like
Definitely the hotter and the more humid, the more insects, the more bugs, the more insects and bugs, the more
insects and bugs are terrible
like
things.
reptile predators, snakes, poisonous frogs, which bring in other predators. Yeah, I think you're right. I would argue the same.
Yeah.
I'd rather face the cold and the cold alone than everything that comes with the heat of a tropical.
Yeah, but
area.
dude, people on those shows are savages, bro. Like
No, they're crazy.
human nature like starts to kick in, and these people go and like strip down their camps, and it's like you're going into winter and you're stealing sleeping bags.
Yeah, it's like Lord of the Flies, dude.
Yeah, have you read that book?
Yeah.
Good on you, dude.
Yeah, I have.
Good man.
Yeah.
I didn't quite catch the ending of that. There was like like
That's weird, dude.
It is very weird. There's like an island that's like
Yeah.
a castle kind of a thing.
But I think it also was just talking about human nature and what you resort to when something like that happens.
Yeah.
Like how quickly they form their little groups and the hierarchies and, you know, yeah. I did read it a long time ago, I'll be very honest. But that's kind of what I got from it. Is just like how quickly anarchy erupts when you're out of the real world.
I wonder, like, how necessary is that? Because, like, you know, in the beginning, they're all, like, holidaying around, you know?
Yeah, they're all loving it, bro. They're all loving it.
Everyone wants to relax, but then all of a sudden we need to assign hunters. We need to assign harvesters. We need to assign builders, you know? And if you want to lounge around all day, you know, you'll die. So you would like to test yourself and go...
I think that could be quite sick, yeah. I think it could be very cool. But not for a long time. Like I'm not a survivalist, you know, it's not I think you've got to be quite that's a hobby. You know, people that go like outdoor boys. You seen that guy?
Yeah.
Like it's a cool hobby and it's cool stuff to know, but it's, you know, like some people have paddle, some people have golf, some oaks want to disappear and make fire in the woods, you know. I don't think it's not the kind of skill set that you get from the bush. You know, it's a completely different thing. Like bushcraft is a very different thing too. But I do think like having the knowledge that I have, that we're taught, that we have to know, is like probably set you in the right direction, especially if there are things like animals around and where you're going to find water, where you're going to find food. Like we got a really cool book from our GM that's just left called Food from the Veld. Basically like what you can eat out there, and if it looks like a tomato or a cucumber, leave it alone. You know, stuff like that. So I think especially where I'm at, could probably do quite well. It's actually a very commonly asked question by guests, especially after like the first night, like the second night of the safari. A lot of people, when you're coming to like the sundown of your second night and you're setting up your bar out in the bush, probably like probably like 8 out of 10 guests will ask you, how long do you think I could last?
Of course.
It happens, and it's always the dudes.
It's how long do you think I could last, and surely a hippo wouldn't catch me.
Yeah. No, stuff like that comes out a lot.
That's honestly, a terrible question to have to answer.
I tell people like half an hour. What do you mean, dude? It's not. It's like because
surely that shatters their egos, bro. You say half an hour because it's true.
It is. Yeah.
They'll probably get bit by a spider or a scorpion and they'll die.
Yeah. There's a lot out there, and especially like, you know, coming back to what you said about just the knowledge that we have to be able to probably do a bit better out there. I don't know if I could live forever, but do a bit better than the average dude for sure.
I mean, of course.
But, you know, where you're going, are you going high ground? Are you sticking on the river? What goes where? You don't know what animals are.
And you probably know how to find water better than the average Joe.
Yeah, that's part of the...
Exactly.
It's part of the thing. But it's also that stuff... A lot of what guides know also comes from self-research. You know, it's not a career that you can half-ass. You know, it's you've got to be, for one, super passionate about it. Guiding for me is probably it's the coolest thing in the world. You know, I love it. I don't understand why everybody doesn't want to do it, but then I do get, looking at it from another perspective. If you do it and you kind of half like, oh, this is cool, but sometimes you're gonna hate it. It's long days.
Yes.
Very, very long days. Constant studying and research, and you know, you want to become a master of your craft. You know, you at least for me,
It's like
I want to
jujitsu,
be
dude.
exactly.
It's limitless. You need multiple lifetimes to take it all in.
Exactly. And that's why when you do have a guy like John Roth come and spend a couple days with us, dude, I could just listen to that guy for like a month. Because we'd have times where like some guys were on game drive, some guys weren't. So by the third session, he's saying the same stuff because there's new people, but every single time you're like, wow.
Yeah.
So exactly, you really gotta invest, really have to invest into it. And if you don't, it's gonna be the worst thing in the world. Like I said, early mornings, late nights, lots of people. A lot of people get into it because they really love nature and the natural world and animals, but guiding is like 30-40% natural world, animals, and the rest is people. You're dealing with people, you know, so you've got to have, you know, as much as you have to know what you have to know, and well, not have to know, but know what you know, you've got to have like quite a good EQ as well, you know, being able to deal with people, because if not, it's going to be dreadful. You're going to hate every second of it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I suppose it's like anything.
Yeah.
Like if I were to do what you're doing, for instance, I mean, I've heard how highly you speak about what you do and how much you love what you do, and you know, again, it's a people thing, which I think I could also enjoy.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be anywhere near as happy as I am now, and I think that's true for every kind of career path. It just depends on the person.
1,000%. Yeah, dude, I just want to thank you. Like today, you've painted such an awesome picture. At least for me, like just talking to you. I know we've like gone over things we've spoken about before, but dude, like you've just said, I can hear it all over again and be like, yo, that is awesome.
I'm glad.
No, I mean, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy chatting to you, like, and hearing your stories. And I'm so excited that you're going to go back out there and you're going to get even more.
Yeah.
And you're going to, you know, come back on here and share more stories.
Yeah, for sure, dude. This is also, it's also like, I really love sharing and giving that to people.
Yeah.
You know, that's a lot of guiding is sharing. A lot of it is very therapeutic as well, in a way, for people. You know, when you disconnecting to reconnect, and just being out there. Sometimes you don't have to do anything. The bush does it. If you got like an epic sunset, or you got like elephants playing, or no matter what the case is, you can often. And this is another thing that he told us: the difference between a good guide and a great guide. And it's something that my cousin/uncle, but someone that I really look up to in this industry, has also told me time and time again. Like, you've got to read your guests, for one, but also letting the bush speak. It's not an ego thing. It's not this is how much I know here.
Yeah.
It's letting the bush speak and letting that experience just fully engulf itself around you. So I'd love to do this again. I'd be more than happy to come and do this again.
I feel like I'm sure you do know.
Segments, topics, we'll get it.
Oh yeah. No, we will do that.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm so excited that we've kind of introduced you a bit more to the world. I mean, your social media thing, like what you doing with your stuff is like, dude,
I'm trying. Yeah.
You're on something so special. Like if you even start vlogging your stuff, if you even start your own podcast, you would just kill it, dude. Like your character, the way you like can speak, the way you speak, the way you your knowledge, like it's exciting, bro. I'm very excited for you, and I'm excited to have you back on here. I'm so excited. I've got a fucking source here of like, you know, really cool, insightful stuff. And
I appreciate that, Weez.
Yeah, dude. So
thank you for giving me a platform to chat, dude, and stuff. And
it's awesome.
Loved what you've been doing as well, and I think it's quite cool that like everybody's on their own path at the moment, and like
awesome.
The more you listen to people and the more you chat to people and I listen to people, it's like just opening up your world to so many other.
Yeah. You know,
perspectives.
I feel like, you know, I just decided to stop being a spectator, if you will. And I can see,
Gonna
like,
get involved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, you, me, our other mates that get involved, and
Yeah.
they take initiative. I'm trying to swear less on that. I've had my mom phoned me and she was like, dude, like, listen, love it, just like, don't really.
Oh really?
Yeah. She was like, it doesn't.
Yo, shout out Auntie Lee though.
No. She's
Shout
like,
out
it's
Auntie Lee.
like, it's not a good look, my boy. Like,
Yeah, no, fair.
and I agree.
Yeah.
But I do get excited.
Yeah, I know. And sometimes it's just a passion thing.
That's
like we
passion.
get it.
It's a
Yeah.
passion. But yeah, I think, you know, the fact that we like creating and putting out there and just being like leaders, I don't know, I feel like it's something.
It's cool. It's very cool.
It's cool.
And I don't think anyone would have like seen all of us going this way. Like,
Not at all.
everybody's on their own thing, and then like, you know, your paths cross again. And what's cool is that we can still do the stuff we did, you know, where we just chill and chat, but like the conversations are a lot more interesting now.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's got their own, like, everyone's got their own niche, and
Yeah.
like, you know, it always builds. And I've found that a lot more recently. Like you, me, Shy, Ro the other night, and you know, everyone, Shy and Ro on there, I don't even know what they do, dude. But like, it's interesting to hear them speak and, you know, talk about what they do, and I just dig it.
Yeah, me
I
too.
love where we are right now.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
It's also so cool that we have people like in our lives that actually like take interest, you know.
Yeah.
So lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
So blessed, bro. Count your blessings, people. Check in with your friends. Make sure to call your friends, because I think that's something that we don't do enough of.
Yeah.
I certainly try my hardest to do so. I know you're very good at that. I know a lot of people that aren't good at that, but I'm not going to say anything, guys. let's, you know, I'm in such a good lighthearted mood. But anyways, Binks, you know, in wrapping up the podcast, we have a tradition where every guest that...
I know. Yeah.
So every guest that comes on leaves a question with me after the show, which I present to the next guest. So you were left...
Do you do it chronologically?
Yeah, I have been doing it chronologically. I don't want to do it that way, but it's just how it's worked out.
Yeah.
And it's a fun system.
Yeah, I dig it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
It's
and
nice when you got your own thing though as well.
Exactly, and I've stopped telling people who's coming on here, who's next. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because I want it to be unique. I don't want them to have to cater to someone else.
Yeah.
So you were left with a question from our previous guest, and his question was, what is your why? Yeah.
That's very good. That is very good. I'd say my why, in terms of my career.
Yeah, I mean, however you take that question, really. You could go career, you could go in life, you know, in a personal sense, friends, relationships. I mean, what is your...
To learn and to share.
Yeah, let's take it from a bigger, the
From a-
biggest
yeah.
possible scale.
Broad perspective, career, life, relationships, friends, to learn and to share. I mean, I think that's what's made us human beings as successful as we are. The fact that we can learn, the fact that we can share, we have means of communication, and to learn and to share. I mean, there's so much that goes on in our daily lives, the world around us. You know, like I was saying, why I love what I do so much is that there's this, you're always learning. You know, you're always stimulated, and I think that's huge, to learn and to share. That's what I'd like to do. That's my why, to learn and to share.
Thank you. And Binks, for anyone who enjoyed this conversation and they would like to find you, would you like to just give yourself a little bit of shout out there? You know, how can people find you? Where are you? Or where you know?
Yeah.
I give it to you.
At the moment, just Instagram. Binks in the bush is the tag. 12 weeks now, consistent posting, and you can see the difference it makes. Yeah, thank you. And it's also just given my days something else to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it takes you away from the whole job guiding thing, and it's like something for me, you know, like just learning something new, like editing, and loving the photography at the moment. And then like one day for sure I'll get into the whole vlogging thing and sharing as much as possible. But we were chatting about it the other night, you know, I really want to get the photography and you know, editing and stuff and down, because it creates a lot more avenues within guiding if your photography is good, and it's something that at the moment I am loving. I just got myself a camera and a lens and figuring out the whole editing software, and it's another way to bring the bush to life for people that can't be there, you know. So Binks in the bush.
Thank you guys.
Check it
Please
out.
go like and follow my friend here and put pressure on him to start that YouTube vlog. I want to see it happen. Ollie, thank you, dude. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.